You chose option B, to turn back and not go forwards into the flooded path. To explore the feeling of this action, I've included clips from an interview I did with Suma Karkera about family constellation work and how looking into the past can actually help us move forwards better. Yeah, so would you like to tell me a bit about what you do and, yeah, particularly with the family constellation work that you do?
Right. Okay. So first and foremost, I must say that I've only finished year two of family constellation work.
Mm.
Um, but family constellation work started, or the origins of it comes from the Zulu community in South Africa.
Mm.
And Bert Hellinger, who is the founder of this work, went and stayed with the Zulu community and then brought this work into the world of psychotherapy and counseling, etc. So what happens in family constellations, or when we say constellations, it sounds like it might be something to do with the galaxies or the stars. But it's about the systems. The whole of where we live or what we do or the people that we are connected, we go into different systems. And the first system that we belong to is families. So it's basically talking about how our family system loses balance, and the foundation or the philosophy of constellation work is to restore that balance in the families. And through the work that I have seen or understood, I've beginning to understand more and more clearly that the family can lose its balance, because not just because of the current issues that they have right now in the here and now, but also sometimes they are being carried over from their parents or generations beyond, like 2 or 3 generations, which is called intergenerational or transgenerational issues that get passed on. This is one part of what constellation work addresses. However, my work is mostly with systems. I am a systemic worker, so basically my background is social work. I work with children and families for 18 years now, and it's always intrigued me how we want to belong to this system. And most of the families that come to see me or parents that come to see me would talk about losing that balance in their system. Some of the common examples would be, I feel like I'm stuck and I don't know what to do. Some might say that I worked for several years and I have a lot of awareness. I still don't know what this block is. It keeps coming back. There's a pattern that they are noticing. Sometimes they might have worked on it, but they still not touched on the dots, or they're not able to complete the dots, and they feel very stuck in that position. There's no movement or there's no flow. These are some of the words that we use as well. So family constellation is a lot about bringing that flow, bringing that movement. Um, when we do one-to-one work, we use loads of resources to represent the whole system. So if you come to me and you tell me that, Soumya, I'm feel stuck with certain issue in my life, which I have a lot of awareness about. I've seen a therapist. I've been working on it over and over again. However, I'm unable to connect a dot. I'm unable to move past this. I feel okay, then I get stuck, and then the same pattern is repetitive. I will ask you to select different resources from my toolbox. Normally, I have peg dolls. I can't see it here now, but I'll show you some.
Is it almost to like create a map, like
Yeah,
to?
we create a living map.
Right.
Yeah, this is not a living map. This is creating a map. So I have all these dolls, peg dolls. that I have in my toolbox. And as children or adults are speaking, they are creating a map.
Hmm.
But at the same time, what's happening is, if that's somebody, and if I say, okay, this is you, and this is that person that you're having issues with, what happens if I bring closer? Then this person, the client or the child or the adult would be able to say, oh, if they come that closer to me, I can sense things in my body that are changing. My breath is changing. I feel like I'm shrinking, I'm becoming smaller, I'm diminishing. What happens if we get them backwards? So that's basically, they might say, I feel I'm able to reconnect with my breath. My heart's not beating. So it's a very embodied experience, but also it's about gaining that agency, but also seeing the whole system. There's no real concept of forgiving in constellation. You would see in other spiritual work there's forgiving. Here there's not really forgiving, it's acknowledging and accepting.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess,
So
does that come from that almost bird's eye view, overview perspective, and that's why you map it out in front of you so that
yeah.
you almost become outside of yourself because you're recognizing that you're not just an individual with these feelings, and
Mm,
therefore words like
mm.
forgiveness, I suppose, lose their meaning because they're very much from your first person perspective.
Exactly. I'm here and I can talk to them now. I can look in their eye. I don't need, even if I'm here, my breath has changed. I'm able to, and I know that if I want to, I can move back a little bit.
Hmm.
So what happens is the perceptions are in here. You get to see perceptions of everybody who is in the system. You sort of soften and you're able to connect with your problem, not just as your own problem, but there's also other people beginning to take responsibility for their contribution towards that problem. However, that's a movement, right? That movement is called constellation. So that sort of moving. So when you start the systemic work, everyone might be here, but towards the end, the whole constellation or that map would change, and it would form a uh, different structure.
Yeah.
So that is basically where it creates movement, it creates flow. I would say brings closer to the resolution, but we are not fully problem solving. But you get to see a direction in which you can take your first tiny step.
Right. It's interesting because a lot of this is very based on intuition, isn't it? And I think
Yes.
that's such a important reason that particularly nowadays, it's very important that we take time out and make
Yeah.
time to get back in touch with that intuition. Like even when you're asking about the question, this person is in the situation, are you open or are you closed? It's a very
Yeah.
simple question and you feel it in your body.
Yeah.
And those intuitions, I think we're losing touch with
Connection
that
with
part
our
in the society
intuition.
that we have.
You're absolutely correct.
Mm.
That is so right, because I think our intuition actually guides and helps you and supports you. And I can tell of my own incidents where I have not listened to my intuition and things have gone wrong. But right now, I think for everybody, it is the space or what's happening in the world right now. It is a calling to go back to our intuition, because it is a guiding force. It is our inner compass, or what we call as the North Pole. And the minute we start listening to it a bit more attentively and take the time and space to go into it, I think our decision making skills will become better and better and better.
Do you think there's anything about the society we're living in at the moment
Mm.
that holds us back, keeps us stagnant, makes us ambivalent, not really being able to choose which way to go?
Yeah.
Um, and if there's anything that comes up, would you be able to, yeah, explain?
Yeah. I think the society, I don't do much work on that big collective right now. So when we look at society, it's definitely the collective. If we talk about what's going on in Gaza, that's again, it's a huge thing that's affecting everybody, isn't it? We can all sense it,
Mm.
or we can um, all sort of relate to what's happening. It's having an impact on us in one way or the other.
There's this thing I've been looking into about micropolitics versus
Mhm.
macropolitics.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah,
especially in a world where it's so easy to feel that we have no choice in the larger scale of what's happening,
mm,
and there's nothing we can do about so much, it's
yeah.
really important to focus in on the close
The small,
community around you
yeah,
because that's
yeah,
where we have choices and that's
yeah,
where we can
yeah.
make a difference. And then it's a ripple
Absolutely.
out effect from there.
That's the ripple effect of that.
When we're healing generational trauma, I think, especially when we're people that have the intention of bringing children into the world, I'm one of those people. I'd like to have children one day. It's almost not just for ourselves, is it? It's also doing a
Yeah,
service for the people of the future. And I think
yeah,
particularly nowadays, there's a bit less of a focus on that, like
yeah,
building for
yeah.
the next
It's all
generation.
self.
It's all
Yeah,
self, and we're put in this very individualistic mindset rather
yeah,
than community based, and there's a lot less focus
exactly.
on, yeah, building a really beautiful world for the next generation.
So going back to healing or passing on what we can give to the future generation, constellation work is pretty much about pro future and what you give to the generations. The philosophy on constellation work is that your ancestors want the life to flow. They went through all the struggles, they had their share of good and bad and the worst. But look at you, you still are here, which means they want that flow of life to carry on, the seed of continuance. And the best gift that you can give to yourself is to live your life fully and to say, I will live this life well and I will pass it on. And when we say the pass it on, it's almost turning to the future and saying that I give whatever I have lived fully to the future generation, which means that if we are able to identify the blocks or the limiting systems or any systemic issues that are holding us back, if we are able to bring that to awareness and if we are able to work through that, then I think there is a lesser chance that our future generation will carry it. So there'll be something that they will carry, but I think it's about being able to recognize um, what is it that I can do in order to make things easier for the future generation.
Something that my mum said to me about when she told me about you and your work was that idea of um, giving something back to someone. Um,
Exactly. It's
yeah,
that recognition and returning it to that person
mm,
and then taking control of what is yours.
right.
That's the choice we are talking about, right? That's the choice, the power of choice we are talking about. I give it back to you. It's not mine to carry. There
Mm.
is acknowledging this is what happened, this is what is now. I'm able to see the whole picture. I have a choice to I have a choice to give it back to who it belongs, and then shape my future in the way that I want to. So I move forward.
When I decided to open the door to doing my research project about ambivalence, I was scared that I would become a more fickle and existential character. In fact, I have, thankfully, become a less ambivalent individual. I achieved what I set out for once. My hope is that you'll leave this video with slightly healed thoughts about choice. I, for one, have a better relationship with choice. Funny that my commitment to a project that's partially about non-commitment would land me with things like a job offer at a gallery or a sense of actually knowing what I'm doing. Though I still can't choose a good ending for this video, so I'll just leave you with these words from those famous children's books. Choose your own adventure. You're the star of the story.